Alright, let's ask it the first question. Give me a high-level overview of this repo. And bear in mind, I'm inside the O1 Day 1 app directory. This means that we should get an analysis just based on this folder instead of the entire AI Hero repo. We can see then the steps taken by the LLM in order to try to answer the question. It looked at the directory structure, looked at the package.json, which is where the dependencies are tracked, and checked the README. Then it says, based on my analysis, this appears to be a Next.js application template for building AI-powered applications. We have Next.js 15, TypeScript, Tailwind CSS, Drizzle ORM, NextAuth.js for authentication, Redis for caching, and PostgreSQL as the database. This is your moment if you fancy it to ask any follow-up questions about what any of these things do if you've not heard of them. For instance, let's ask it to see some Tailwind CSS code. We can see that it searched the code base for class name equals, which is commonly where you're going to use Tailwind CSS. And from its own internal search tools, it returned a bunch of results. So inside chat message DSX, we've got some code that looks like this. We've got some responsive layout below, flex width 64, and we can start to get a sense that Tailwind CSS is a utility class library that provides a bunch of utility classes which we can use inside our applications. Let's ask an unrelated follow-up, which is how does this repo manage its database? We are using Postgres as the primary database, and then we're using Drizzle for database operations. The schema is defined in TypeScript using Drizzle's schema definition language, and the database has several main tables, users, accounts, sessions. We can see here that database migrations are managed through Drizzle Kit. So we may want to ask, how do I migrate the database? And we can see here it's given us a bunch of different commands. pnpm generate creates new migration files based on changes to your schema. pnpm migrate then goes to apply those migrations. pnpm push, which is mostly what we'll be using, makes changes to the database without creating migration files. And finally, you can view the database in Drizzle Studio, which is a GUI to view and manage your database. Now, I chose these tools, Postgres, Drizzle, Next.js, because they're very popular and LLMs have a lot of training data about them. This means that if you have follow-up questions here, the LLM will do a really good job of giving you accurate information. Let's ask one more follow-up, which is going to be, show me the pre-built front-end components in this repo. There are a few little components that I've given you just to help things along. We've got a chat message component at chatmessage.tsx, which displays chat messages with markdown support. The sign-in modal is a modal dialog for authentication. The auth button allows for logging in and logging out. And the error message component is useful for displaying error messages with a little icon. But actually, there's something we've forgotten here, which is how do I actually run the app locally? Well, the LLM has read the README, so it's saying based on the repository setup, here are the steps to run the app locally. But don't get ahead of yourself because we'll be looking at that ourselves soon. So please continue to ask follow-up questions of the LLM and look at the documentation sites for the tools that are in the repo. Talking to the LLM is really useful in this context for getting a good overview of the repo. And if you've got any more questions, then do utilize the Discord chat. Good luck, and I'll see you in the next one.